Hello, I hope everybody's doing well. What would you do with $1.1 billion? Well, obviously that amount would change everything about our lives. Me? Well, I could finally afford that new mansion on Dagobah with a couple of swamp green Raris, maybe a helicopter, a couple PS2s, shit. But WB Discovery had a different idea than most of us would when it come to be spending that much money. No, instead of buying the White House, they decided to produce and advertise the hell out of 4 movies. 2 of them have already been released, and there's 2 more on their way, and oh boy, it is not looking good. An article was released last week that is titled, "The Flash Box Office Disaster Exposes DC's $1.1 billion problem for Warner Brothers." This article, published from Variety, has a lot of good quotes on this one, but this one stood out to me especially. The production budgets and likely marketing spends for these 4 films will cost between $1.1 billion and $1.2 billion in total, according to experts outside the studio. And what are those movies exactly? Just so we're sure. Shazam 2, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman 2. And can I just say for a moment, Jesus actual Christ himself alive. Why? Like, why those 4 films you're gonna spend $1.1 billion on? Like, we're not off to a good start. It just makes me mad because the amount of chronic waste that is going in with these movies. $1 billion. Let's just visualize that for a second. That's the same GDP as the Netherlands. Or 2 Swedens. Or about the same GDP as Portugal, Kazakhstan, New Zealand, and Greece combined. And they're spending that on terrible movies that honestly don't even really have a set target audience. Because I'm sorry, but who in the public even has Shazam on their conscience? I know, they want Shazam to work, but even as a big DC fan, I feel like he's a niche character. The first movie left absolutely no impact on pop culture or just any really lasting impressions. The movie came out right after Captain Marvel, but before Endgame, so it got caught in this time vortex, and I guess it just kinda slipped into the Twilight Zone. So who is this sequel really made for? People who watch every DC movie? Casual people who like the first one? Shazam fans? Wait, there's Shazam fans? I just feel like WBDC overestimated people's ability to just mindlessly enjoy a Shazam film. Because it felt to me this movie was greenlit with this sense of, oh, the first one went well, so why not just make another one? Instead of a desire from this place of, I have a story that I am dying to tell, it is about Shazam, and it matters to me. Because I think the most tragic thing is, I didn't think Fury of the Gods was a bad movie. It might actually end up being the best one out of all 4 of these, because it's just a superhero movie. It's not anything special, it's not anything bad. I've seen it a dozen other times with a dozen other characters in a dozen other universes. But the movie is earnestly made. You can actually feel like the filmmakers behind it are just trying to make a fun movie, and it's not supposed to be taken too seriously. But then we get to this movie. The best thing I can say about The Flash is that Keaton's Batman is indeed cool. But The Flash, the visuals looked like crap, the story was a Walmart brand version of Flashpoint, and the actors weren't even particularly good either. I mean, you got a Supergirl who is played by an actress that only has one facial expression that is also making her film debut. Like, where did all this money go? Why the hell did they spend $250 million on this movie? A movie with a plot that's been done before by or better Flash in a TV show. The character arc for Supergirl is barely there. She has barely any impact on the final fight, the final outcome. Literally, spoilers, she only just dies. It's just they hype it up to be like some masterpiece, and it's DC's magnum opus. But then the theme of the movie is literally told to us like a kid. Like that's in the first 20 minutes. There's no nuance to this movie. There's no soul because it feels like a bunch of boxes being checked. Oh, he said the let's get nuts line. Oh, he said it. Oh wait, no, I guess the audience didn't really have member berries because they forgot to go to the theater for this. It's a clear waste of money that not only approved these movies, but continued to back them and release them. It's honestly very sad, but there's projections at this point that WB would have lost more money by just releasing the movie instead of just shelving it and not releasing it forever. They probably are not even going to make back their marketing budget for this movie, which is insane. And honestly, The Flash deserves the flop because I think it highlights everything inherently wrong with the brand right now. The people in charge are disconnected from the fan base and just honestly just disconnected from reality as a whole. And I don't even really want to talk much about Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2 because there's not much to talk about. Blue Beetle seems just like a generic superhero origin movie. It's probably not going to do well. Aquaman, once again, the first one did $1 billion, but who's really like asking for a sequel and like begging for more Aquaman? I don't think there is anybody out there who really wants this, and especially that Amber Heard's going to still be in that. Like, okay, if you think people got mad because Ezra was in the movie, people are gonna go crazy about Amber Heard in the movie. Now, that's just honest how it is. There is DC material that has been published in just the last 5 years that I believe strongly, if adapted correctly, could be potential Oscar material. Like, I kid you not, the world needs a Mr. Miracle 2018 adaptation. It does feel like every other movie needs to be some big multiverse spectacle that links up to the next movie and the next project. And at this point, I'm just so over it. Like, you could do a good adaptation of a real Constantine project that would be so unique, like an actual disturbing horror movie. Okay, I just had another random idea while making this. Imagine a low-budget experimental DC film with Man-Bat. Has anybody heard of a 1970 movie called Altered States? It's a pretty weird movie where this guy studies psychedelic drugs at a university, and eventually he reverts back into being like some caveman guy and like some ball of goo. It's not the best movie, but it has an interesting concept. But why not do that with Man-Bat? Like, imagine a psychological horror movie with body horror, him mixing chemicals and fumes and turning into a bat creature with wings, and that could be done for really cheap. Like I said before, I'm not a movie maker guy, I don't have the money and the funds, but that's not a movie that needs a $200 million budget. I think there is room for movies which still have a big budget and is able to do these big action scenes. On the other hand, you get movies which you can make for 20 million, 50 million, have small budgets, small marketing budgets as well, and for like $100 million, for less than what they're marketing The Flash for, they can have a unique movie that actually gets some talk. Like, do a black and white noir detective movie with The Question. Make it stylized, make it fun, make it very unique. These things haven't been done in the superhero genre before, in this kind of cape genre, as people like to call it. And I'm just kind of spitballing ideas here. Like, I feel if they actually put effort into crafting films that make each one feel unique and different, I feel like you got something there. Marvel's approach is that every movie and show is a sequel or prequel to something. But like I just mentioned before, DC shouldn't do that. What DC ultimately has over Marvel is that it's a vast, vast selection of different genres. And it's fun to establish the different genres first, like a mythology movie, a war movie, a tech bro movie, before jumbling them up and letting the genres play off of each other. And Marvel has fumbled this recently because in Phase 4, nearly every project has the same feel, with the same episode and joke layouts and CGI endings. But DC never even really started with different movies with different genres. They just have all these characters who are naturally in different genres, but they just really quickly decided to, throw them all in and all the fans will love it.
Ho, brother, whoa, now. You got too much dip on your chip.
There are rumors going around that the Authority and characters like Midnighter and Grifter are going to be in Superman Legacy, and that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like, just make a Superman movie. We don't need these other characters who are deconstructions of Batman, and like, no, that doesn't fit the vibe of Superman. But why is the Authority going to be in the movie? Well, because we have that new show coming out, of course. Stop tying everything to the future. That's literally how we got into this mess. I think my biggest fear is that DC is pulling out of one universe only to do exactly what they did with the last one. Clutter it up again with boring adaptations of characters we've seen before and retread similar arcs again and again. Like, I don't want to see Krypton explode in Superman Legacy. I don't want to see Pa Kent die. But, oh boy, since it's the start of a new Superman franchise, wheel that shit out again. All of this to say, I'm just kind of scared for the future of DC movies, and I'm just also very angry at the massive waste WB have done. Not only have they pissed away over $1 billion on movies that are going to be forgotten in 3 years max, they've destroyed much of the DC brand. I think a lot of the casual audience has lowered their opinion of DC movies and what those important characters are. But there is still hope. I'm very skeptical of James Gunn and whenever this man's cooking. Will they be able to rebuild it? Of course they will. But will they? Will they be able to build something fans will enjoy? Only time can tell. Until next time, guys.